Greetings, Earth and Space Explorers. Welcome to Doc Waller's Earth and Space Report for Friday, April 24, 2026. Happy Arbor Day. I'm your host, Bill Waller, an astronomer, science educator, and communicator, coming to you on a chilly spring evening in my hometown of Rockport, Massachusetts. These Earth and Space reports are intended to engage and inform people like you who are curious about Earth as a planet, who care about our life-sustaining biosphere, and who wonder about the greater cosmos and all that it has engendered throughout space and time. Video recordings of these reports are archived on the Earth and Space Reports YouTube channel. They are also in regular rotation on Cape Ann's community access cable television channel hosted by 1623 Studios. I'm grateful for the continuing support shown by local science educators and their students, Cape Ann cultural colleagues, cohorts of the Gloucester Area Astronomy Club, myriad Earth and space scientists, educators, and communicators, far-flung friends, family, and other curious folk. Thank you for your active participation and encouragements. This evening, I have the pleasure of hosting Richard Luecke for the third time. Dick is a resident of Annisquam here on Cape Ann, who is a longtime member of the Gloucester Area Astronomy Club. He is well known among his club cohorts as a skilled astronomer and veteran raconteur. His sketches of the moon, planets, and other celestial objects continue to amaze and inspire the less artistic among us. Indeed, the Astronomical League recently recognized him with their annual sketching award. His winning work was of Julius Caesar, not the Roman ruler, but a prominent crater on the moon that was named after the infamous dictator. Beyond Cape Ann's rocky shores, Richard offers his services as a teacher of basic astronomy for Salem State University's adult education program and as a summer astronomy guide at Acadia National Park in Maine. This evening, he will introduce us to his forte, namely the art of astronomical sketching. So let's get going. The Zoom platform is all yours, Dick.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Um, this was kind of on short notice, but I had some of this in the can as I gave a presentation to GAAC a couple of years ago in our regular meeting. But it was kind of a tutorial. Everybody got a pencil and something, a piece of paper with a circle, and we kind of played around with everybody trying to do this themselves. We can't do that on Zoom, but I will at the end have a little film tutorial by a master sketcher, not me. So let's proceed. So, wow, what's the name of that down in the corner? Mario Mata.
Mhm.
So we're all kind of used to seeing these wonderful pictures taken by
That
amateurs.
that's Stefan's quintet.
Yes. So professionals and now even amateurs can make some beautiful things. So we gotten kind of used to all these good things. Let me see. Beautiful photography. This fine detail you get from NASA. So we have plenty of things to look at. And if you run out of things, you can always go to this site, um, Astronomy Picture of the Day, see more. But, photography, correct me if I'm wrong, Mario, but I don't think it really kind of made its way into professional astronomy in any serious way until what, about 1900, maybe a little earlier in 1890s.
The actual first photograph was done at Harvard in the 1880s, daguerreotypes,
Yeah,
uh, and but it took all night.
yeah,
You could probably sketch the entire moon faster than it took him to get the first picture.
yeah. But like all technologies, they're kind of on a S curve that they get much better over time. So, so what did, and they did that because they wanted to, as Mario and other photographers or imagers do, They want to either keep it for their own records, to show their friends, or to professionals. This is how people share their information with others. And we have the same thing going back to Galileo's time. He was the first one to really observe anything with a telescope and to share what he saw with unbelievers. He did these sketches. Now look at his pictures of the moon. Now there was a guy, well, he was a Renaissance man, right? So he knew how to do paintings, drawings. Very nice. When you think of what a crummy telescope he had, it's amazing what he was able to see. Oh. He also did the sunspots, and then the one on the right, I believe what we've got here is a progression of sketches that shows the motion of the rotation of the sun. Nobody had ever seen these things before, which is so remarkable about it, and how his sharing with others must have really had an impact. So here are his sketches of Venus at the top, Saturn, his evolving sense of what it actually looked like on the bottom. Even did the Pleiades, very nice picture. And of course, we've all seen this one of the night by night position of the moons around Jupiter. A revelation. And others followed in his trail. Here's Giovanni Cassini, and he's got a nice sketch of Jupiter, Saturn down below it. I'm not sure what these others are on the right. Does anybody have an idea what those might be?
No. They look like exercise equipment.
Dumbbells. This one looks like somebody's kidneys in an X-ray or something. Skip forward almost another century. The son of the famous William Herschel, his son Sir John Herschel, in many ways he outstripped his father in terms of his contributions to astronomy. He went down to Cape Cape Town with I think one of his father's telescopes, and you can see the years 1834 through 38, and he did an entire survey of the southern sky. The first time people in Europe had really ever seen these things in a scientific way. And in it, in that piece of that document, he had lots of sketches that were really quite remarkable. Can you imagine making all those little dots?
Mm.
Man, had time on his hands. And that book, I got to tell you, you can find this on Google Books, the entire thing.
Mm.
And I just started getting into it. I was looking for his sketches, but I got into it. I said, I got to go read this thing because he describes all his methodology and his equipment that he brought from England and everything. Quite a remarkable guy. So I'm not sure what this is. There he's probably tracking the motions of the more visible moons of Saturn. I think this is the Lagoon Nebula, his sketch, which in the book they describe as a draft. But he used calipers to make sure that all the proportions and the distances between things were proportionately right. He's a very thorough guy. Not sure what this is, but nice to look at. His naked eye sketches of the Magellanic Clouds. Nice. Which I hope someday before I die, I get to see that. Fast forward a little bit more, and you have another Giovanni. What is this? Is an all Italian night we've got going? got Galileo, we have Giovanni Cassini, now we have Schiaparelli. And are his sketches of the surface of Mars, which inspired this idea uh, taken up by Percival Lowell that these were canals. In fact, Schiaparelli called them canali. And so he's doing a sketch. And I think at this point, probably um, photography is outpacing um, sketching as a useful device method for sharing and recording and sharing information. So that's kind of the history of it. I kind of think it dies out there among professionals at that point. But today, a lot of people are into this thing of doing sketches. Um, here's this guy, Michael Valasin. He's an Israeli, and he did this particular sketch of the Triangulum galaxy. He uses an 8-inch Newtonian, and he's down in the Negev desert, which I'm sure is pretty dark. So here's the comparison. I sometimes use this if I'm giving a thing to people on introduction to astronomy to just kind of keep their expectations in check that you can see this picture on the left, but that's not what you're going to see through the telescope. You're going to see something more like on the right. But just as interesting, in my opinion. Here's another set of the needle. You know, I think this one on the upper left, that's a pretty credible um, um, alternative to the photographic one down at the bottom here. Oh, did I miss one? Yeah. This guy, Jeremy Perez, he's really outstanding thing. He's a professional sketch artist anyway. I mean, he does commercial work and everything, and it just happens he's an amateur astronomer. So he does these really lovely renderings. These are just a few of them. Again, guy with an 8-inch Dob. I think he operates out of the Tucson area. So he's got good skies down there. Here's another one of his on the left of the Orion Nebula, and one by the Israeli guy, Michael Vlasen. Both very interesting. I noticed the one on the right has a bit more color that's pretty representative of what we do see visually.
Hmm.
Here's one of Paris, just sketches a nightscape. Now, to me, that's almost photographic, but it is in fact a sketch. How he did that, I don't know.
Question, that's a sketch of the Milky Way?
That's what it said when I was viewing his site. I I'm not buying it. There are just too many stars in the
Mm,
Milky Way there.
hmm.
Maybe he meant to just say I superimposed this sketch of this building against the skyscapes. Because I'm not buying it that he could do all this fine work. Because I've done some like globular clusters. You know how many stars, little pinpoints you have to put on the piece of paper. Would never attempt anything like that. Now here's Erica Ricks. For a long time, had a column. I think it was in Astronomy magazine. She had a regular sketching column, not regular, periodic. And she's also written a book, how-to book. Very nice. I was out last night. It was a first quarter moon last night, and it was no wind. It wasn't cold, so I dragged myself out there. And I got out, at about 7 when there was still light in the sky. And I picked a crater complex to draw. And about an hour later, I just gave it up. It was just too much detail. I was never going to finish that night, and I was just getting tired of it. And I know that if I came out the next night, all the shadows would have been changed
Mhm.
because so a little caution if you do out of any moon sketching, to try it out, pick something really simple or you'll get frustrated. Now, Howard Bannock, he's a frequent contributor to Sky and Telescope, and this is I I scanned this image from Sky and Telescope. He had I think, a 3 or 4 page spread on the Rosette Nebula, and he's a very good sketcher. And this one, he also has a 30-inch Dobsonian telescope, so he could really get a lot of detail. Very nice work. And compare that to, whose picture. This is one of your early ones, Mario, so I bet the newer ones you do are even more stunning. This
I've
is,
got some new stuff on.
yeah, this is from that first gallery you had with GAAC. So I don't know what, 15 years ago you did this? Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, it's notable that, photographic imaging can get color, which we don't see almost none of in the sketches. Another really fine sketcher is our friend Stephen O'Mara. These I scanned from his book on the Caldwell objects.
Mhm.
Very nice work. Now, Mario, did you illustrate a couple of his books with your photographs of his?
3 of his books have my photos in them.
So these are the tools you need if you want to try this yourself. And unlike astrophotography, you could probably get everything you need for about 30 bucks. You got a clipboard, which you probably have already, a little clip-on light, various kind of pencils. You got an eraser type thing. This is actually a eraser on the tip. It's kind of a fine eraser, but you need a blending stump, as they call it. No, that's a blending stump. This is a white pastel um, pencil. Sometimes you have like an emery board to sharpen up your pencils better than you can get with one of these guys. A compass to draw a circle that represents your eyepiece view, etc. Um, so it's kind of a low budget operation. This is the other tool. This is the one I used, a 15-inch Dob. And one of the virtues of this that I would never give up as a sketcher is this thing down here, an equatorial platform that medium and higher magnifications pretty much need that to keep your object centered so you're not always stopping what you're doing and moving the eyepiece view along, getting it recentered. It's a very valuable thing to have. So when I got started, I just started small, um, doing sketches of the moon, just using my 10 by 60 finder scope that's on that telescope. So you can see a lot. Certainly, I think that 10 by 60 had to be like 5 times better than what Galileo had at the
Mm.
best, wouldn't you think?
Mm. Mhm.
It's a Stellaview finder scope really well. It's really done well. That was a lot of fun. Then I moved on to various moonscapes. Again, trying to pick out more simple things. And I've experimented. I'm still experimenting on the medium. Like this one is just white computer paper. I would just smear some graphite from pencils and stuff on there, smear it, and that kind of replicates the gray background of the moon. And where you have the sunlight in this thing is coming from over on this side. So when it hits like the edge of a crater, the rims like here, or the inside of the crater terrace like here, it's going to be bright white. So what I would do is just take an eraser, a fine eraser, erase the graphite so that it appears white. And then I use just a heavy pencil, sometimes a charcoal pencil to fill in the black. Again, real inexpensive stuff. Crater Play-Doh. And this one I experimented with. You can buy black artist paper. And what I did is I took some white chalk and smeared it on there just with my hand. That's why you have this kind of grayish background in here. And then using a black charcoal pencil, I think I like this, the straight wall, drew that in here, filled in these craters with a black charcoal, and used that white pastel pencil to catch these highlights where the sun is hitting various features in the picture.
Question.
Yeah.
Does the chalk stay on that long term, or would it eventually flake off?
So far, so good. What I did in the past, which I don't do anymore, is you can at an art store you can buy a spray bottle of fixer, and you just lightly spray it, and that puts a little smear-proof cover on what you've done, so that you're not going to, mess things up or mess up that white pastel. I've stopped doing it now because if you do that, you can't go back,
Mm.
improve or revise it, which I'm doing with some older sketches, just as you astro imagers will go back, revisit your data, and process it in improved ways. You make it better and better. So, so that's what we have here. So this one I don't think I sprayed.
How do you keep them in a stored, careful manner? I mean, you don't put them in a book.
I just these are all on like 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and I just they're all in a 3-ring binder.
Mm.
And someday my heirs will clean when I'm gone. They'll clean out the house for sale, and I'll say, "What's this junk?" I'll throw it. And one of the more scrupulous heirs will say, hey, "No, well, we'll recycle it. We're not going to throw it out."
Mm.
No, I was so proud of this thing, and I was showing it to one of the GAAC speakers. It's that professor from University of New Hampshire. What's his name?
Mm.
Comes down every so often, and he's very familiar with this. And he says,
Ian Forte.
"There you go." And he said, "Oh, you missed one." And he pointed out there's a crater right here. And I said, "No." So I went back and I got a photograph of this, and sure enough, so I have to redress this error, which is good because you can go back and fix things. Here's one I was looking at last night. This is one I'm definitely going to go back and uh, do a little more elaboration. The thing is, you got to kind of catch it at the same lunar day so that you get the same shadow effects. Here again, using black paper with smeared chalk and white pastel pencil. Copernicus. That probably I should go back and do another one of this when the sun is a little higher overhead so we can catch all the stuff on the crater floor. And this is the one I won the prize with,
Mhm.
Julius Caesar. And one of my moon books catalogs has describes all the people that these are named after. And as you may know, lunar craters tended almost always to be named after natural scientists or astronomers, uh, philosophers. And I was like, what the heck with Julius Caesar? He was neither of those. And it turns out whoever named this did it in his honor because of his contribution to the calendar, the Julian calendar, which he either underwrote or promoted back in his day. This one, too bad I couldn't have done this. This what do you call it? A Rima, they call them. It's almost like the straight wall. It stretches a long, long way.
And this is a gray background, right, Richard?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was just again. You can get these tablets of artist paper. Some are black, some are white, some are tan, and some are gray. I thought, oh, this is nice. So I've used this on a couple of things. Now, one thing about sketching that has a real benefit, and I think anyone who's an actual artist, which I'm not, would tell you that if you're an artist and you're painting or drawing or even photographing, um, it makes you focus more on what you're looking at. I think that's especially true of sketching because there are all these details. Now, before I started doing this, I would look at something like this in the eyepiece and say, oh, that's cool. Yeah, look at that. And then I'd move on. And I wouldn't see half the detail I would see if I had to sketch it. This one I had another kind of painter. It's kind of quilted and it creates a nice effect. But then I was so happy with it, and I took another look, and there was a watermark by the manufacturer that spoiled my picture. You see it here?
Mhm.
Have to do it over again. See, look at the dates, October 2020. So is this the last time that Mars was close enough we could get these kind of, if we had another close pass? But
Yeah, I think you're right.
or maybe the last close pass, it was just so murky all the time I didn't bother. But these were nice and clear. So star clusters. These are can be kind of laborious. Here's the double cluster. I did this a long time ago. This is one of the more obvious ones you'd want to try out. This I did when I just had a 10-inch daub. It's perfectly adequate. Um, and I might comment down here, too many dim stars to draw in. So I did what a lot of sketchers do. You just smear a little graphite around in here, and it does have the kind of effect that you'd get if you had hundreds of stars in there. Now, what you can do with these things is if you have Photoshop or this GIMP, which is a free download, if you ever want something you don't want to spend $400 on Photoshop, you can scan your sketch and import it into GIMP. And it's got all these little things over here you can manipulate. And then one of the first things you do with it is you invert the thing. So black becomes white white becomes black, so it looks more like what you'd see. And um, it also, I didn't do it all here, but you see some of these stars aren't quite round. I got a little lazy. These are more round. GIMP has a little thing you can pick up a little round white thing and click on one of these badly drawn stars, and it'll cover it with a little round thing. So it looks
It,
really,
it looks like you're drawing your Newtonian aberration.
yeah, right. Yeah, hey, that's what I'll say. That was aberration. Yeah, somebody did that. I was who had a YouTube video, and he said one of the hardest things you ever try to do is draw a pinpoint star. So if you ever have a pencil and a paper around your handy, see if you can draw several pinpoint stars. It's very hard to do. Here's another one. I found that it's more fun and interesting to do a sketch where there's more than one thing of interest. So here's one that just happened that this comet that came by, oh my God, that was almost 8 years ago. It also had a star cluster nearby. So that added some extra interest. Here again, I did the around the stars using GIMP. One of everybody's favorite, Western Veil, inverted. It's one of my faves. So this, I think this is one we did at the GAAC thing. I gave everybody a paper plate with a circle drawn on it, and I gave them a pencil, a Q-tip, and that's about it. And what I demonstrated before you start, it's helpful if you like make a clock face with that um, before you start drawing things in. So you usually start with your object in the center, hopefully that or something that's very obvious so that if your telescope drifts and you reposition it, you'll have it back in the right spot. Um, and usually start with your brighter stars. And if you have this clock face, you say, oh, here's this really bright one. It's just a titch away from 3 o'clock. Draw that in. Maybe you say, oh, this one is, oh, it's getting between 11 and 12. I'll put that there. There's one down here about 7, one near 9. And then once you got those and you're happy with their position, you start to draw in the smaller, less visible stars, and then you go after this one. And in this case, what I did, what we do at the GAAC meeting, had everybody take a pencil and outside the circle, just smear in a bunch of graphite with their pencil. And then I gave everybody a Q-tip. You just get a little bit on the Q-tip and you just kind of smear a little of that in there using your pencil eraser if you need to take something away.
So that raises a question. It's interesting you say do a clock face so you can orient yourself.
Yeah,
How long does it take you to do a typical photo? Because in a Dob mount that you got,
yeah,
anything over an hour, you're going to have field rotation in the eyepiece.
yeah. Something like this, 20 minutes at the most. Yeah, these are easy. The ones that are hard are the moon, um, star clusters where you got all these stars. I would say if it takes a long time, at least if you had it down, you could kind of rotate your clipboard, wouldn't you? I mean, you could because the proportions are the same. You could get a sense of where it should be just looking at the background. But that's a good point. So here's one I put it in here. All the stuff shows, but they have a little mechanism in here that you can just cover this area. So you leave out this white line, you leave out all these numbers and this mess. And what do you get here? And you get that. Here again, I made these scratchy stars around. And the nice thing is, for the brighter stars, you just use a slightly larger one than the little ones. And you can also, they could be white, or you could have a blend of kind of grayish white, depending on how bright you want them to be. It's pretty handy.
Um, I'm going to ask whether anybody in the gallery knows what galaxy this is.
And don't ask me because I can't remember.
I do.
What
I
is
think
it?
it's M101.
That's right. That's right, Mario.
Yeah.
That's an impressive image. It almost looks like through a telescope.
Yeah. It actually looks better than through my telescope. I probably used a little more um, graphite than maybe was called for based on what I see. You
Have you
know,
ever captured a supernova?
oh no, never have. This is just to do something interesting. As I mentioned, I like to do something where there's more than one object of interest in the field. So I read in Sky and Telescope, Vesta next month is going to be traveling through Taurus, and it's going to come very near to M1. So what I did was I went out before it was in this field of view. I went out. This I can't remember what star it is. It's kind of a bluish, uh, very bright star, and I sketched in all the stars in the field. And then I waited until a night where Vesta was actually in this field. And so this was the first night. And I made it here red just so I could differentiate it from the others. So, and then the next night I found it over here, cloudy night here. Next night, had a clear night, put it here, and there's a M1. So it was kind of a fun thing to do because I'm not a person that goes hunting uh, asteroids, but this seemed like an opportunity for an interesting sketch. I used my widest field of view, which I can get with my telescopic equipment. Oh, did I go too far? Wait. Okay. Well, okay. I hope this next part works. I mentioned this guy, Jeremy Perez, who is really quite a master. He's the one that had the one with the Milky Way with the building in the foreground. Um, And so he has this little video online. Let's just watch it.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Perez. I'm a graphic artist and amateur astronomer living in Flagstaff, Arizona, in the southwestern US. I sketch my observations because it helps me to see better. It helps me understand the amazing things I do see, and it allows me to share the wonderful views with others. There are so many great astronomical objects to choose from and different ways to sketch them. I had a difficult time deciding what to demonstrate. I hope you'll like my choice of these two spectacular galaxies, M81 and M82 in Ursa Major, as you can see in this deep sky survey image. Here are some materials you will need to create a sketch of these two galaxies: a clipboard, blank paper or an observing form, pencils, a red observing light, an eraser, a blending stump. This is a stick of rolled paper that's used to blend soft features. Some other useful tools are a pencil sharpener, an eraser shield to make precise deletions, a sanding block to sharpen a blending stump or to sharpen a pencil tip, and a kneaded rubber eraser to softly remove graphite. So that can be a lot to hold onto at the telescope. If you put clips on your pencils and your blending stump, or if you use mechanical pencils with clips, you can attach them to your clipboard or to a carpenter's clip magnet. Your observing light can hang from your neck, or you can hold it in your hand, or you can attach clamps to hold it to the clipboard. When sketching, try to be seated so you can concentrate and enjoy the observing session. Warm clothing and fingerless gloves will really help you to stay comfortable. And now, onto the sketch. Try starting with a sketch circle that is 8 to 12 centimeters in diameter. This will represent the field stop of your eyepiece. Begin by sketching the brighter stars that you see. Imagine the face of a clock in the eyepiece and on your sketch paper. Use this to estimate star positions. Once you finish the brighter stars, take a minute to mark the position of the galaxies. To do this, use a soft, dark pencil to scribble a graphite patch somewhere outside the sketch. Then take a blending stump and brush it in this patch to pick up some of the graphite. Use the stars you drew to estimate the position of the galaxy's centers. Then use the blending stump to dab them onto the sketch. Now use a lighter touch with the pencil to add fainter stars. Use the stars you already drew as guides. Imagine shapes such as triangles to help you see where to place these faint stars. If you notice any mistakes, you can use your eraser to delete them. Now it's time to shade the galaxies themselves. Brush your blending stump in the graphite patch, and then transfer that to the sketch. Start with M81 by lightly shading its large elliptical shape. Refill your blending stump at the graphite patch and keep adding graphite to the galaxy to show the forms you see at the eyepiece. A kneaded rubber eraser is a very useful tool to help your shaded areas look just the way you want. You can mold it into any shape you need and then dab it to gradually remove the graphite. You can also lightly apply graphite with your pencil to carefully shape the structure of the galaxy. Keep touching it up with pencil, blending stump, and kneaded rubber eraser until it matches what you see in the eyepiece. Now you can use the same techniques with the thin shape of M82. Your pencil will be a very useful tool for drawing the lumpy structure within the body of this fascinating galaxy. Now that you're finished with both galaxies, compare the sketch to the eyepiece view and use a dark, soft pencil to make the brighter stars even bolder.
This looks so easy.
When you're finished, you can scan your sketch and use an image editing program such as Adobe Photoshop to invert the drawing into a positive image. If you haven't sketched your observations before, I hope you will give it a try the next time you are out under the stars.
Well, that was easy. So I'd encourage you to give it a try. If you do want to do this, a good way to start is indoors at a comfortable desk with a good light. Just pretend you're outside looking through your telescope. Go online and get, just in Google, ask for astro sketches. And all these will come up like the ones you've seen. Because they're what you're going to look at visually through the eyepiece. You could get a photograph like from the GAAC galleries, but that isn't what you're going to actually see through the eyepiece. So grab something, sketch, sit down in a comfortable spot, give it a try, go slow, and you'll get better the more you do it. And if you do go out, when you do go outside, a good thing to start is the moon because A, it's bright. I find that with doing galaxies and star clusters, especially dim ones, using the red light, going back and forth from the red lit page to the eyepiece, it does degrade your night vision. No problem with the moon. It's got plenty of light. And give that a try. Start with something very simple. So that's all I have. You have any questions, comments?
I see that you got a divider in that picture. What's the unusual end on the divider? It looks like a wheel
Divider.
up at the top next to the clip. There's your wing divider and that black circle thing on the edge, right where the clip is. What is that?
Well, this is
Not
just
that.
a
Not
book,
that.
book
The-
clamp.
your compass,
Yeah.
and then you got a black thing on the end of the compass. One leg looks like a straight leg. The other one's got something on it.
Uh,
That. What's that?
oh, it's just the whole thing. That's what the pencil gets held by that thing.
Ah, okay. I was wondering.
You can stick a pencil through that, and there's a screw that tightens it down.
I'm used to putting a lead in the end of it and having a little
Yeah.
thumb screw to lock it in. Okay,
This,
that's a pencil.
this little guy, it's a eraser shield. If you want to
Sure.
something, you want to take some of the the graphite away, but you don't want to get a lot, you can just use one of these and just take what you want off. But it's pretty easy. So you have all this stuff, so you got no excuse but to try it out.
Nice presentation. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
I do have a question.
Let's hear it.
Something I
Stop
was thinking
sharing.
about.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, something I was thinking about before this started is, do you ever use photos to do your sketches? The reason I was thinking about that and wondering about it is because of the amazing photo captures we just got back from Artemis 2.
Yeah.
And if there were any interesting features in there that you might sketch until we get a better way to look at it.
I've used them just to practice, especially with the moon. So it's so tricky, all these shapes. And if you sit inside, you're comfortable, you're warm. You can practice on that thing, and you get a sense of the shape that you want to get. Then you go outside, and you kind of know what you have to do. It's
Thank you.
Dick, could you stop sharing your screen?
okay. Stop share.
There you go.
Oh, and they're all you people.
Yeah,
Oh,
the whole gallery. I'll do
many of the usual suspects.
Absolutely.
um
The Rogues Gallery.
Rogues Gallery. Apparently there's something happening tonight with the Pleiades and Venus.
Really? Oh, yeah. Well, we're not going to see it around here. Or is it clear out tonight?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
And of course, Venus doesn't last long in the evening right now.
Yeah.
But that would be an interesting, as you said, you like to do a combo.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Objects. Um, and
I've attempted to do the thing where, like Mars being occulted by the limb of the moon, but my
mm.
time is always off. It's either cloudy or I forget, or it's the wrong time of the evening.
And then the moon passes through or near the Pleiades once a month. I think that's another one.
That might be a nice composition.
Yeah. Well, you are truly the Bob Ross of astronomical sketching.
Well, don't say that. He's dead.
Oh, but his videos are very much alive. My,
Yes,
John
they
Leggy.
are.
when I had my top physics students, they pleaded with me to watch Bob Ross programs while they were doing their homework or their exams.
Yeah.
It's
And I
happy little
relented.
trees.
So there's something very soothing about the whole process, it seems, of doing some artwork.
Yeah, it does focus your concentration or your
Hmm.
activity.
Hmm.
Really got to be on it.
And I'd like to pursue this thought about you say there's so much that is not in color, and yet you did Mars in color.
Because I could see color.
Hmm.
But galaxies we don't see the hydrogen or the oxygen.
No,
See in imaging.
but you could do the same with Jupiter. I think you did do some color with Jupiter as well.
I've done some sketches with Jupiter, not lately. And it's a tricky one, and Saturn also, because try to draw a shape that's the right shape for either of those planets. They're not a circle. Um, so there are online, I think you can get them from various astronomy organizations, a blank that has the shape of Jupiter.
Hmm.
The ones with Saturn, they have those too, but the angle of the rings is always changing.
Hmm.
So that's a hard one to do.
Yeah, but Jupiter rotates so quickly, you're never going to finish
Yeah, that's true.
Or
Yeah.
if the red spot's going to be moving across.
You have to be a quick sketch artist. It's
Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll give it a try.
Very informative. Thank you.
Yes, it was really good. Thanks.
You're welcome.